Hello there. How's it going? So, you're either here for one of two reasons. First, you want to learn a little bit about sad boy and emo revival music, or you just want to make fun of me for my music taste. Whichever your preference, I accept you here for that. So first, I'd like to clarify exactly what I mean by emo revival and sad boy music. So, I'm not talking about, well, first of all, I'm not talking about vaporwave necessarily at all in this particular video. And I'm also not talking about emo in the sense of like, My Chemical Romance and Fall Out Boy and stuff like that. We're talking about a more specific genre that's more like theatrical pop punk. It's not quite real emo. So we're going to talk about some stuff that fall a little bit closer to what real emo is. And I want to include a playlist for Spotify in the description down below, so that way you can kind of go back and you can listen to all the songs. You don't have to like dig through Facebook and or YouTube and whatever else to actually find them. Our first entry on the list is actually basically two bands. It's going to be the Front Bottoms and McCafferty. Now, McCafferty came after the Front Bottoms, and there's been a little bit of, I hate to say hostility, but there's been a little bit of disagreement amongst fans. McCafferty does sound a lot like the Front Bottoms. They did draw a lot of influence from them, but the newer Front Bottoms stuff and newer McCafferty stuff definitely takes a decent departure. So you're going to like these guys a lot if you're kind of into sort of weird indie rock. There's going to be kind of a theme amongst all these bands is they definitely have some indie rock sort of influences. Some songs that I would suggest from the Front Bottoms, my personal favorite would be The Beers. Fantastic song, awesome intro, very catchy chorus. He has a very interesting voice, and it's definitely showcased. It's one of their older songs. After that, we have Twin Size Mattress, which is probably one of their most popular songs. The ending bit, I hate to call it a breakdown because it's not like a do kind of breakdown, and you see a lot in like metalcore and stuff like that. But it's a breakdown. It's fantastic. And then we have Handcuffs, which is another one of my personal favorites by them. It came on a 4-song LP that they split with GDP, who's an interesting rapper. If you're into rap, you might like him. So check him out. And then the McCafferty songs that I'm going to suggest, first off, Brit Rock is one of my personal favorites by them. Daddy Longlegs is another one that I like a lot. Similarly, this is where you can kind of start to see a departure from the Front Bottom sound in Daddy Longlegs. And then lastly, I threw this one on there specifically because we're including Front Bottoms. The song's called Bottom, and it actually talks a little bit about the Front Bottoms. And he says, he steals lines from this guy named Brian, and it's great. It's a really good song if you're into just similarly like an indie rock. They do throw some like almost reggae parts on that album. Definitely worth a listen if you're into that kind of thing. Next up, we have one of my personal favorite bands, and probably one of the bands that fits closer into the emo revival and just soft rock genre. It's going to be Modern Baseball. I have a few songs that I recommend. The Weekend would be one of the more popular songs. Similarly, Your Graduation. Both those songs are very popular from them. They definitely give you a good idea of what the band sounds like, I would say. Then the last song that I would also recommend by them is going to be Redo, which is my personal favorite song by them. I just think it's kind of funny, and one of the things that I think that sets them apart is they make a lot of references to like Facebook and Twitter, which is something that a lot of rock music doesn't necessarily do. So to see a band kind of evolve and take some modern things and really put it in front of you like that is pretty awesome. They're a really great band. If you like catchy pop, indie pop, you'll probably like them. They hit some sadder notes on there. So the next band up on the list is a little bit heavier. They hit a lot of those heavier notes, so if you're already really into hard rock and I guess like screamo metal type stuff, you'll probably enjoy them. They're called Movements. The first song that I'm going to suggest by them was actually the first song that I heard by them, because at the time it was all they had on Spotify. It's called Protection. Really great hook in that song. They have some like talky bits. I love songs and artists that throw in just random talky bits. Those are some of my personal favorite things. Then also I'm going to include Kept, which is a lot catchier. If you're kind of new to the rock genre, Kept would probably be a song that you're going to want to check out first, just because it's kind of easily accessible. It's got a very catchy chorus. The verses are interesting, but they're a little bit slower, but they really hit it hard with the chorus. And the last song that I'm going to suggest is 19. Now, 19 is a little bit heavier, but it hits those sad boy feels so good. The whole song's basically about his relationship with his dad, and it gets good. It gets really good. It's one of my personal favorites by them. I definitely recommend it, especially if you're going through stuff with your dad, which if you're watching this, you very well might be or have in the past, so it'll be very relatable. Now, I know I keep saying that this is one of my favorite bands. This was my most listened to band or artist on Spotify for 2017, and that's going to be Sorority Noise. Now, I would recommend listening to any song by Sorority Noise because I fucking love them so much. But I'm going to start off with Using because I think that it's easily accessible. It hits a lot of themes and notes that I think that people can relate to, and if you're coming into looking for music that's specifically sad and helping you get through stuff, that's probably a pretty good place to start. After that, I'm also going to recommend Blonde Hair, Black Lungs. It's just one of my favorite songs by them. That whole album, Forgettable, is just, it's great. From start to end, fantastic. Seriously, like, go listen to it now, first, even, because it's probably the best one that they have out. So I'm going to have two more bands to recommend. The World is a Beautiful Place and I'm No Longer Afraid to Die is the band's title. It's very long-winded, but they are a fantastic band. They probably are the closest to what emo really is. If you look at bands like American Football and Captain Jazz, they kind of hit a similar jive with them. I'm going to say pretty much listen to anything by them, and you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. Their albums change up style and feel a whole lot. So the songs I'm going to recommend first, if you like more talky bits, I'm going to recommend Blank Number 8, Precipice. Blank Number 8, Precipice. It's a really good song. They get kind of deep, and it's almost, I hate to say it's almost cliche, the sort of things that they say and some of the metaphors that they use, but it's one of my personal favorite songs by them. I'm also going to recommend A Heartbeat to the Brain. It's one of their catchier songs, probably a little bit more easily accessible. That whole album is a lot more easily accessible, I would say. So if you're kind of new to the genre and you're just trying to expand out, that would be a really good place to start. And the last band that I'm going to recommend is a band called Tiny Moving Parts. Now, they're probably a little bit closer to the pop-punk side of the spectrum, but I love them. I have a soft spot for pop-punk, but these guys especially are quite good. I'm going to recommend Birdhouse. Great song, awesome guitar parts. That's one of my favorite things about them is they have some really nifty guitar parts. Dakota, because it's literally my favorite song by them. A little bit on the screamier side, I guess. They do a lot more shouting in that song than they do in any of their other songs. And then the last song that I'm going to recommend by them is their new song. It's called Caution. And now they're having a CD coming out in early 2018. At the time of this recording, it's the end of 2017. So it's not out yet, but I do like Caution quite a bit and kind of get you hyped up for the new album. And the kind of, I have one more that I want to recommend. It's sort of a bonus. It's probably one that fits the most into this whole video, and it's The Medic by Foxing. If you can't get into Foxing just by listening to The Medic, this might not be the genre for you. So that's it, guys. This was really quick. I literally wrote this stuff out while I was on my way to work today. I felt like making a video. If you like any of these bands, hit that thumb up. If you listened to these bands after I suggested them to you, enjoyed them, give me a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe. I have some more content possibly like this coming along, and be sure to look in the link down below for my Twitter as well as a full playlist on Spotify. And if you don't have Spotify, I apologize. I have Spotify. I use it every day. This is not an endorsement to them, but they are fantastic. It is worth every $9.99 that I paid for them this year and last year, so I would highly recommend them. They're a fantastic service. So I'll catch you guys on the flip later.